So my background is in the voluntary sector. I worked in social housing for longer than I care to admit, but nearly all of my work has been either creating housing for people with HIV, creating housing for people seriously affected by mental illness, or by older people who experience some form of cognitive impairment in advanced older age. And I suppose one of the things I'm really interested in is where does housing sit in the care pathway? So if you think about the patient journey from end to end, what is the role of a housing service as alongside the care and support services that people need? What I enjoy about being chair, I mean, it is an incredible privilege to be part of the NHS, and you get to spend time with some fantastic people. You get to spend time with patients, you get to spend time with staff, you get to spend time with the public, and all of them are passionate about the NHS. They all have an opinion about the NHS. And I think one of the real privileges about being chair is, one, you get to have those conversations, but also you get to be part of the team that then tries to think through, well, what's the right strategy to actually deliver those expectations? And if we can't deliver all of those expectations, to be a person who creates a space for that dialogue to take place about, well, how do those choices get made, and how does everyone feel that they've had a say in those choices. So you're facilitating a process. So I really enjoy that. I find that very rewarding. I also think that the whole integration agenda, how do we bring the whole of the person to the table? How do we bring that focus so that the NHS is looking at the individual in the context of their family, their neighbourhood, and their community, is something that the chair can influence and can shape. And I find that really rewarding and enjoyable experience. The most challenging thing about being chair, I think, one, is recognising that we're operating in an environment of quite considerable financial restraint. I think that we are faced with having to make some quite difficult choices. I think we have to try and engage the public, the staff, the patients in those conversations as best we can, but they're quite difficult conversations, and I think people understandably get very anxious and at times can get quite angry about some of those choices. I think that we're very conscious that people are under a lot of pressure. I feel a responsibility as part of a board to look after our staff and to look after our patients, and I think that that's becoming harder to do as financial restraint gets tighter. There's a challenge around trying to create the headroom so that we can actually do the transformation and make the changes that make the NHS sustainable for the future. But because people are faced with significant day-to-day challenges, that's hard enough without then asking people to start to try and look to the horizon and think more strategically. So I think that's both enjoyable at times, but also incredibly challenging. I think what's really impressive about Sussex Partnership Trust is you pick up very quickly that there's a real passion here, there's a real enthusiasm here, there's a real determination to deliver the best care possible. There's a real commitment and some really good examples of working very well with our patients to make sure that we're developing services and we're changing services in response to their needs. I think there's a challenge with geography. I think there's a sense that we do operate across quite a big geography, and so there's a challenge around making sure that everyone feels part of the same collective enterprise and it feels like one organisation.